Right at the buzzer.
Yes. I was going to take over, but you made it.
I know I could just pass you right over, and you wouldn't miss a beat here. Welcome aboard. It's the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. This is our Leaf Hour edition of our program. We are live on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus. He's Justin Bourne. He's Sammy McKee. I'm Nick Kypreos, Derek Brandeo, and Jake Schultz with you for the next 2 hours. We got another game day, albeit a late one.
Mm-hmm.
We are in Eastern time. 10 or 10:30?
I think it's 10. I like
10.
the slightly later start. The 10 start is sub good.
I mean, they had the San Jose game that's always 10:30.
Why
And
is
by the time the puck drops, it's like 10:45. We're like, what the hell are we doing here? 10's okay.
Yeah.
10
That's
is 10 is okay. 10:30 is not okay.
That's whatever that it's a San Jose thing where they just need every ounce for people to get to the rink.
I mean, it could be like traffic around there or something. I don't
something
know.
goofy.
Either way, it stinks for the rest of us.
Couple changes
Yeah.
as we anticipated. Mitch Marner healthy to go back into the lineup.
That's great.
Good news.
The interesting one for me, the decision on Stolarz playing tonight.
Yeah. And you're,
I don't know.
well,
Yeah.
what? I mean, you've been saying that you anticipated that
Yes.
he would get a start.
I did, yes.
You don't want him
I've got second thoughts on that.
You do?
I do a little bit, but
I don't like that.
it's okay. It's all right.
Oh,
do
we
any-
have. So this is just a very rushed day here.
Well,
we had
the trade deadline,
the
right?
Raptors trade deadline. So we've been able to leisurely make our way in here to the studio, get organized, all this stuff. We used to do this all year last year.
Yeah.
But it was a sprint into here. We were giving a few takes with Blake and Matt, and we were like, oh
Learned
my
about
God,
the
it's time to
Rappies,
go.
Brandon Ingram in
And
town.
And so
I barely plugged in because we've had this studio empty before our
Yeah,
show
for the whole
and
year.
It's not really about us getting in there and getting organized because we don't really get organized.
Yeah, fair.
We're
just
not- we're
stretch,
never
stretch our
organ-
arms out a little bit.
But it's
Yeah.
more of a relaxed
Yes.
feel.
Yeah.
So-
and now we're rushed.
And then the clips only came in because it was
out
practice
west, yeah.
later. So I literally just put this in right before the show started. It's been a
I don't even know what clips to
Well-
call.
well,
Clips
guess
to
what?
come is on the lineup
guess
today.
what? I have to do it.
All
I
right.
am
You're the
leading
guy.
it here. If you want to hear about Anthony Stolarz,
We do.
okay.
We'll get sound out of Seattle, and then we'll follow it up.
Sounds good.
Number 5, please, Darren.
That's a good
5.
question. Who knows? I mean,
One on what
you
to
know,
expect.
we'll see how the game goes, but we got to do a good job in front of them. Like, I mean, we got to make sure that we're tight tonight. We're eliminating their rush game. They have a very good rush game. We don't need to be giving those guys chances off the rush. So our job, defenders and forwards is being real good defensively here tonight and tight and not giving that stuff up. Like we got to check hard tonight.
All sounds
Help him out.
good.
Yeah. In
Okay.
theory.
So before we get into we got to dive in on why you don't. Were you just gone to Murray here? What's the thought?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thought. The thought is that under normal circumstances, I could see a guy coming off surgery and going in there and hitting that target window of what you thought, 4 to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't a normal circumstance. This is a guy that's had a handful of surgeries on that knee.
Mm-hmm.
I am this close to the finish line
Mm-hmm.
before the league shuts down for
2
2
free weeks.
weeks. I would have taken those 2 weeks and not put him in a scenario on a knee that is unlike almost any other knee right now
Yanni Hockenpah.
in the National Hockey League. I would have exercised
Yeah.
a 2-week break before bringing him back.
Would you
So-
say it's unique?
Oh. Dad, you need to have
Ouch.
kids.
That's
Um,
all. And that could be full of crap, and he could be great and
Yeah.
pitch a shutout tonight and be fantastic. And I'm full of it.
Given the nature of the injury, which was that he had some sort of shale granite rock in his knee, we don't know
A pebble, sir.
a person, a body,
A body.
loose body in
But
his
it
knee.
could be like opening up the shark on Jaws, and like a license plate could fall out, and an old running shoe.
But this is the thing.
Jeez.
I don't think that playing a game will create new bodies in the knee. Maybe it will. What do I know? Absolutely nothing. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
But I would like to get one under his belt so he goes into the break having felt the pace and the speed and feeling good. Okay, it stood up to a game. Practice hard over the break, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get the idea of having the extra rest. But if you get through the game healthy, it's a win.
Got a lot of ifs this year for the Toronto
Buddy,
Maple Leafs.
the whole thing's an if. If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, every day would be Christmas.
I hate to agree with you, Kyper, but I do agree. The way you lay it out
There
there.
was all this weeks ago.
No,
too.
like I really want him to play, and I've been a huge fan of him. But the circumstances aren't normal. But I guess the same things that could happen tonight could happen in 2.5 weeks when they come back. So
Maybe.
I guess that's just the risk you take. But with the 2-week break, it is tantalizing just to be like, hey, Matt Murray, can you handle the 4th worst team in the league and give it to Joe Wall on Saturday night and away you go? But you're trying to get 4 wins on this trip. I don't know. He's got to play eventually, I guess. I'm talking myself in circles.
They are in the business of making these decisions. So we'll see if it's the right one. It's certainly a risky decision. But it was no matter what they did.
The next big story from practice today are the lines. And I put them there on the first page, but they read as follows: Matthew Nyes, Austin Matthews, and Max Domi still together on the top line. In the second line, William Nylander on his off wing, John Tavares, and Mitch Marner as your second line tonight.
I don't have a massive recollection of that trio spending a ton. Like Matthews is always involved in some capacity.
Yeah. Kipper, do you remember them
have
playing?
done it.
Have they played
done it.
together a bit, those three? I really have a hard time remembering if they have.
I don't have any memory of Nylander and Marner together. To any degree.
Outside of loading up a line.
Yes.
So like
Correct.
last minute, we're down a goal.
Correct. But
Yeah.
to actually practice and start games together,
You could see how it could work, right?
if
Like
it's-
Mitch has such great vision. Willie stretches it out. You could see how they could connect.
I think anytime you got really talented people, you could always envision.
Yeah.
But yeah, give it a try.
John's at the net. He's a little more
As Sammy
stationary.
alluded to, one of the worst teams in the league right
Yeah.
now
Where
in
are they
Seattle.
at?
And we're
I
out.
think they're 29-8.
We're going
maybe?
to, in 30 minutes, we're going to welcome in John Forslund, play-by-play man for Seattle Kraken, and he's always real good when it comes to honest assessments of any respective club he's covered. So looking forward to some feedback there.
We have a clip. I believe it's clip number 1 as I'm looking here. Yeah, clip 1 on the lines for tonight.
Well, I kept that line together of Matthews, Domi, and Nyes. Thought they had a real good game. I liked Max on the line. He felt like he had more juice in the game, so I want to keep him going. And, so I talked to them guys about Willie going on left and Mitch on right. And with JT, Mitch played some real good hockey with JT this year. We know that. And so.
Of all the words, that's a real Kyper and Bourne show word. Juice might be one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely have more juice there.
Definitely more juice.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, again, when you got a very distinct line between your second line and your third line, it's still limited what you can do.
They're limited.
But
They had 6 scores.
all of last week, I talked about Domi and Matthews and why we haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that he's coming off Calgary. He's coming off getting Mitch Marner back in the lineup, and yet he'll stick with Matthews and Domi tonight. So that, to me, is a good sign for Berube, looking at different looks now, because things can get stale sometimes. You need movement. You need players to come to the rink and look at the jersey colors in practice and go, yeah, I'm excited about
this
that.
is something new, something fresh to refocus, to try.
And to that point, you have a 2-week break looming here where guys maybe are starting to think about their beach plans, where it's like, hey, something to fresh me up and to keep me engaged before a big, long break.
So I got a couple of things here. I think I'm going to make you happy here, Kip. So I had our Sportsnet stats look at Matthews without Marner last year and this year, and Marner without Matthews last year and this year. And both of them have higher points per game without the other guy. So Matthews without Marner is 1.57 points per game, and with him is 1.22. And Marner without Matthews, 1.5 points per game, and with him is 1.25. So they're both better without each other. That's cool. Here's the interesting part that I think you'll like. Matthews, when he's with Marner, has 80 goals and 48 assists.
Hold on. Matthews
With Marner.
with Marner.
80 goals and 48 assists.
And over the last
2 years.
48 assists.
Yeah.
Yep.
80 goals, 48 assists. Without him, so think of that ratio,
Yeah.
almost 2-to-1 goals to assist ratio. Without him, he has 9 goals and 13 assists, which is more assists than goals.
Yeah.
Interesting. Marner with Matthews has 31 goals and 100 assists.
And his numbers are up, his goal numbers.
And without Matthews,
Yes.
his goals are 11 goals, 13 assists, almost a 1-to-1 ratio. Marner scores more. He's less of a deferral type of guy without Matthews.
Yeah.
Matthews passes more when he's not with Marner. If you want to get the best out of these two guys, this is the thing we hear from people. Marner has to shoot the puck more.
Yeah.
Matthews needs to be more of a distributor. Separate the two of them, and you do that. It's there for
Yeah.
you.
Is this
It's fascinating. Good
is
stuff,
this
buddy.
is this a recipe to be successful in the playoffs? Like if you're
The other
looking,
recipe sure isn't.
if you're if
the other
like,
recipe tastes like crap.
are you looking at Domi and saying, can you run shotgun with Austin Matthews now the rest of the season?
I think that is a problem you're faced with here. And whether it's Domi or not Domi, I think it's reasonable to say, is it Ryan Donato? Is it, you know, these other names that come up? Is it someone else? And say, Matthews, we need you to drive this line, without Mitch.
I think, some of the guys that Mitch played with over that time would have been without Matthews. I think even having Nylander on his line would probably lean to him being more of the passer as opposed to the shooter still. But I think those are really interesting in terms of just what they
Like
bring.
their points per game are both better without each other and both similar ratios and all that. It's just the type of points they get changes.
What's going to be interesting for Nylander, Tavares, and Marner is their own zone. And like Willie and John are deep guys. Like Mitch will be third man high. He'll be the first man back. When it comes to a key defensive zone face-off, is it Mitch's line with Tavares and Nylander that is going to go now take defensive zone face-offs, the majority of them? Or do you go back to Matthews, Nyes, and Domi, or
defensive draws? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think
those are now key questions for Craig Berube.
Willie's been playing with Tavares, and whoever that winger is not better defensively than Mitch, right? Like Mitch is a responsible defensive guy.
Those
not
guys,
worried about that line defensively.
Those guys tend to get offensive zone faceoffs and not make them go 200 feet, right? The whole idea is to keep your best offensive players, especially those guys. You're not asking them to go 200 feet off a defensive zone faceoff. So now, but Mitch has been asked that all season long. So it'll be interesting to see if they go down a goal or two. Do you stay with it? How committed are you to this?
Buddy, if you can't keep them together down a couple goals to Seattle in game 53, when can you do it? Or 54 or whatever.
And also,
if you learn some things.
If you're protecting a lead at the end of the game, I don't think it's illegal to put Mitch and Matthews together.
No, and also
right?
those guys do go out there. End of the game, like Willie had the empty net last game.
Yeah.
Mitch is out there. Austin's out. These guys all, even Tavares plays at the end of the game.
Berube had a comment on Willie playing on his offside. If you wanted to mention that before we move on from the lines, it would be clip 2, please, Derek.
A little bit of a different look for him with his shot, for sure. And also, just in his own end, I think he can be the type of guy that can take pucks off the wall, on his forehand, get to middle ice, make some plays coming out of our zone. That was the other thing I was thinking about. And just the way it worked out with Mitch playing there with those guys. With JT, on the right side, I wanted to keep Willie on that line, so I moved him to the left.
I said to Sam before the show, I've never seen Willie get a puck on the wall in the D zone in his career. So what does it matter what side he plays?
Don't you have to get him in the defensive zone first?
Not
before
really
you
worried about his handedness. He's never touching it there.
Physically, make sure he's in there and not doing figure eights waiting for that breakaway.
Yeah, Mitch will handle the puck in the D zone. Willie won't, so not really a hard decision for me.
That's what I know about him.
3 feet above the circle counts as the defensive zone, boys. He's there a lot. He's fine.
For a moment before he takes off.
Camp, Lorenz, and Pacioretty. I think Patch's nose is a little out of joint here a little bit.
Do you think Patches has any ability to have a nose out of joint?
No.
Does he have any
No,
cachet?
I think he'd like to at least be in the top 9 right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's life.
McMahon, Holmberg, Robertson. So
It's a heavy line.
the only thing is, could Holmberg go down and Patch go up, but then who's going to play center? Not McMahon, Robertson, or Patch or Eddie. So it's not there for him, unfortunately.
Big Team A, Team B night tonight.
Yeah.
The way the lines look.
It depends what you think. Like McMahon and Robertson, we're supposed to shoot it in. McMahon does.
Yeah.
Can Robertson be?
You know,
God, it's killing me that he's played and he's healthy and he's not shooting it in the net.
And then, like, I talked about this a little bit on Lee's Talk the other night, but there's moments where I'm like, wow.
He's dynamic.
But it just never enters the net.
No.
Like, how many
does
goals
he
does he
have?
have? Like, gotta be
7.
Just 7?
Yeah.
I thought that number was higher.
No, it's not.
It's not, eh?
Well, maybe it's 8.
I thought it was like 10 or 11. It
Definitely
feels like
not.
10 or 11.
He has 8 goals.
8 goals.
8 goals in 45 games.
Just still can get to 15,
Yeah.
20. No, not 20.
20.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
No, but
talking about
it can get to 15.
Uh,
but
If he gets on the Ovi diet, starts shooting him an empty net every night, maybe he'll.
Yeah, I don't think
That's the
that.
opposite of the great chase.
Anyways, so I saw today that they had Mitch back at the top of the power play, replacing Morgan Riley, who had his best game.
Morgan's just chewing on the knob of his stick on the bench.
We have a clip 3 on if they thought about.
There's always a conversation, yes. It's just a matter of we're fitting everybody. I think if you look at JT this year, he's been a very good bumper for us, scored a lot of goals, but he's great at, release plays and things like that and making plays from there. And Nyes has done a great job at the net. So I just go back that 5 forwards has been good for us. And Mo did a great job up top. I really liked his game all around. But there's always conversations for sure.
JT's forehand, backhand, Calgary was.
Pretty nice.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, that was
Oshawa
like
Johnny.
Nyes kind of stole
Matt's
his
backhand.
Yeah.
Nyes kind of stole his net front spot though. Like, this bumper thing is not because they think John's great there so much as Nyes is bigger, stronger net front guy.
Yeah.
Like they didn't start the year. They started the year with John on the crease.
If you take a look, there are times when if JT's there before Nyes, he'll stay.
Yeah.
He'll just stay.
Yeah.
So it's a race to the blue paint.
Sometimes it is.
I used to call it replaceable parts, and they just be like, if you're there, be there.
Like there are times when like I'd be on my 4th line and I'm like, I'm going in first.
Yeah.
I'd tell Alan May or Joey, I'm going in first.
Yeah.
So
Too bad.
put it somewhere where I'm going in first.
Because I'm going in regardless.
That's when I really wanted to kill somebody too, though. But that's besides the point. But
Coming
it's
from a
like,
zone behind, I got it.
right now, it doesn't seem to be much of an issue. They don't look like they're fighting for space. But John's so good though. He can be in good tight, but he can also be good 6-7 feet out.
Yeah, you're right.
To that bumper position.
He's got that wrister, the spin and fire wrister.
I don't see much issues there. But they got pucks where they needed to get them, which hasn't always been there for them on the power play.
I just would have given Riley another night up there. I think he's.
But what do you do? Because Marner's been kept them afloat on that power play for a lot of the year.
I think it's just Marner can do it. You just got to keep the good feels going here with Riley.
No, it's good, but you can't wish for something that hasn't been there for a very long time, and it hasn't been like a bad 2 weeks. It hasn't been a bad month. It's been a questionable year and a half, 2 years.
The power play, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
and him on it. So I don't know how much more you want to push it. You're never going to get that guy now. I don't think you'll ever get Morgan Riley quarterbacking any type of power play from here on in. Can he play there? Of course he can play there. Can he get a puck through with a quick release? Yeah, but I don't think there's ever going to be a better look than what we've already seen in the past.
I agree, but the question that they have in front of them is how much better is the power play going to be with Marner at the top than Riley at the top? Marner's going to be on it regardless, but 5 forwards versus a Riley run power play, is it going to be a goal or two better? Because then the trade-off is you're going to play Florida or Tampa Bay, and it's going to be Barkov, Reinhart, Bennett. It's going to be Cirelli, Hagel, these guys killing penalties. Do you care about having a guy who can skate backwards and defend a one-on-one versus making a forward do it in the playoffs?
Who leads the league in shorthanded goals?
I actually don't know Florida.
I think Sam Reinhart.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Right. So it's like are you worried
yes.
about that?
Yeah, you are worried.
And if you're thinking about that, then maybe Riley or OEL should figure it out if that's a concern. Because, less of a concern if you're playing Detroit.
The league leader in shorthanded goals is Sam Reinhart with 5, and the second is Anthony Cirelli with 4.
Sick, cool.
Yeah,
cool,
so guys
cool.
that you
might want someone who can skate backwards in a playoff series.
6 shorthanded points for Reinhart, 6 shorthanded points for Cirelli.
Great. The Leafs are going in the first or second round thinking, don't give up a...
Yeah, don't give up a rush while they have the power play.
Don't give up a goal on your power play.
And it's not
Jake
fair
Evans,
to ask
6 shorthanded points
Mitch Marner to be, Drew Doughty.
I mean, is he worse than Riley at defending a 2-on-1?
I think that's a fair question. Like maybe a little bit. Probably a bit worse.
There's a lot of times where it's a 2-on-1 when it's Riley. I'm like, to just let him shoot it. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
I just, like you mentioned, the game whatever against Seattle after your, much maligned number 1 paid D-man has his best game. And he's got,
tough.
Like, you just maybe throw him a little bone, Marner can do it. Anyways, it's not a big deal. It's just something I thought. Did you want to hear what Berube liked about Riley on Saturday night? Oh, no, sorry. What day is it? It's Thursday. On Tuesday night.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Skating, getting up the ice, being involved in the rush and offensively, moving in the offensive zone, and on the power play, move the puck quick, shot it from the top, just direct.
So
Quicker. Just faster, quicker, right? That's all we said basically the last week and a half, 2 weeks. He's just
he had good puck touches.
got to move faster, right?
Yep.
Riley OEL, just trying to make fetch happen. All right.
Would you like to hear Craig Berube's thoughts on the Seattle Kraken that the Leafs are facing tonight?
They're a good club. I don't have to.
Yeah, this is
They're good.
What are your guesses?
Hold on. My guess is this is the Sheldon Keefe clip where he finds a specific thing about the team that they do well and says, well, actually,
Yes.
they're a pretty good X team.
And they can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And we can't take them lightly. And
So you want to hear the clip?
yeah.
All right.
And we have not heard it.
Clip 6, please.
They got a good rush game. They were really involved up in the game and the play.
Chief, they
they're a fast
stink.
team. They transition quick, and so again, we gotta have the puck here tonight. We gotta hang on to it and force them to play in their own zone as much as we can. So that'll be a key, and also just reloading and getting above people and checking from behind. Not giving those opportunities for them. They have some good players. A lot of speed.
That's the coaching playbook. When you're playing a bad team, it's like
I thought it was just
people don't-
Keefe.
People don't realize this team's actually a very good double screen team, or whatever the obscure thing is.
If my team that loves to lay eggs in these type of games, it's not them laying an egg. It's the other team's
secretly, this team is
undeniably
good.
great.
It is that old school, no billboard material for the opposite team,
Yeah.
right? Your opposition. Just like we come in after a win in the playoffs, and there'd be 2 or 3 veterans going, boys, remember, they're the best.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
That was
I like
the term.
That. I like that.
Remember, when you're talking to the media, they're the best.
Wow, that's really good.
I love that.
It is funny though, because like the Leafs they've had a bit of a reputation, not this year so much, but of losing games they should win. And it would almost be nice to have heard the coach before those games be like, we should win this game.
Yeah.
We're a better team than that team. Like there's no excuses here, because it does seem to be like pre-excuse making.
They're the best.
But
I know.
the moment that those words get uttered,
Oh yeah, Seattle's like, oh
really?
yeah.
Oh, really?
I mean, you could walk a billboard through the Squids dressing room and say, hey, you guys suck. They're still going to stink.
It would be good to see a team that would do that. Well, Florida's kind of been doing that.
But I do believe in the extra motivation that someone would make someone ultra focused, ultra this, ultra that.
Yeah, that was
does.
part of my job in the playoffs when I was with the Marlies. We were playing Bridgeport and Albany, and I would go through the other team's clips, and they'd say, see if you can find something. See if you can find something in their papers that they said, and then I'd print it and highlight it. And with our like days, breakouts and whatever, it'd be like the other team's D being like, they can't break the puck out when we forecheck hard or whatever. Like, they said about us. So we, actively searching for that stuff.
So how many clips of real Kyper and Bourne have they played in the Leafs dressing room? If that's the case.
We're supposed to be on their side, man.
They don't listen to this show.
Sure about that?
Not everyone, but certainly some.
Rube had a clip about the last clip there, Derek, about the upcoming break and the effect on the team. So the Four Nations face-off starts next week. Last game Saturday. Rube addressed that. Clip 7, please, Derek.
Well, yeah, that's something we discussed before we went on this trip and continually discussing it, going into Edmonton, Calgary, and then today, being emotionally invested in what we need to do here, take care of business. It's tight. The league's tight. The division's tight, so we need points.
Justin Bourne has an article on Sportsnet.ca today about the Atlantic Division and what you can expect for this race, how I see it playing out, who has the greatest odds of making playoffs. I really picked through it with a fine-tooth comb. 12 thoughts in there on where it's going to go. Check that out.
I also wrote today.
Yes, good for
Toronto
you.
Star.
Okay.
My article was around Matthews, Marner, and Nylander going to the Four Nations while everybody still focuses on, God, I hope they don't get hurt. It's like, no, we're well beyond that. It's now like, what can they get out of this tournament that could maybe help them a little bit? I wrote my article, which you can find on my Twitter account or my X account or at the Toronto Star, that
Friendster.
There's still three of the best superstars at the tournament, and only a few of them have never been to a conference final, let alone a Stanley Cup final.
Is it literally just the Leafs guys?
No, there was only Travis Konechny with Marner.
I think there's 24 cups on
Marner
on Canada's team.
On forwards.
Yeah.
Just Travis Konechny.
You know what might be the best thing for the Leafs? The very best thing is that it's 2-2 Canada-USA going into the third period. And those Marner and Matthews just have to be around guys who've won cups and how they handle it in those moments, preparing for that third period.
That's basically the gist of my conversation or my article is that, I don't expect a Mario Lemieux, Wayne Gretzky, 1987 kind of.
Don't even need it.
But there was in 2016 that Brad Marchand is a super pest. Should he even be in the league? He licks people's faces, right? He's no good for the league, and that tournament sent him as one of the best left wingers in the game today.
Game winner for Marchand that tournament.
Maybe
it was.
Maybe
it was against Team Europe.
But those type of moments could happen. Like Marner's expected to play with McDavid and Sam Reinhart.
Yeah,
like he's not looking over there and seeing Malgin.
Malgin.
He's not looking over there and breaking in a college, player in Matthew Nyes. It's like these guys are world best now already. Like, where can this take your game moving forward? And even Willie's like, that's just Willie being Willie. Willie's got an amazing opportunity to look like a real leader here for Team
they put a letter
Sweden.
on his sweater, right?
If they win, good. That's cool. I don't care.
Sweden?
Yeah. The only result I can't have is America winning against Canada. That's it. Sweden wins, good for them.
That's not happening.
No, it's going to be Canada USA in the final.
Think so?
No, buddy. They should rename this the Two Nation tournament.
So disrespectful.
Did you guys see what I sent you yesterday? I wanted to bring this up about the Easton Cowan point streak drama.
Yes, I did see what you sent.
Did you read it, Kyper?
I did, but I don't know per se what was said other than a Kitchener Ranger reporter questioning
if he actually got a point in one of these games.
Yeah,
and me and Borny, we reviewed the tape today vigorously, and you really got to squint for it to be an assist. So, how many games in a row is it now?
65.
65 games straight for Easton Cowan.
Do you want to go back in the history of the game and find out how many squints you had to have made over the years for assists?
For sure.
Absolutely. So, what is the big deal here?
I don't know. It's a little greasy.
So what happened? Mark Hunter shut him down, or
I think maybe Hunter or one of them didn't let him go into the locker room to do like a usual interview or whatever.
This turned into a major story.
Wow, it's in the record of Waterloo, boys. It's a pretty big story. I'm fired up about it. I love it. I'm a junior hockey guy. I just love this stuff. I think it's great.
Looking to take a little cut out of the London Knights.
It's a Leafs prospect who has a historic thing going, and there's people that are questioning if it's real. And I had to bring it up. I don't know. I'm starting to think they may have fudged the records a little bit.
Is don't go back to my junior career and review the tape for all the assists.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Wait, I played junior A games when the referee is in our pile while we're celebrating.
Who got the assist?
Give me a number. 16. 16.
Yeah, it sounds like my beer league team. Who got that
And
one?
24 goal. Who passed it to him? I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
No goal went without 2 assists in junior hockey. I can tell you that.
Hey, go question those.
That was the biggest accusation you could make to a teammate in junior hockey.
I love it.
Call someone a chisel.
I love
Chiseling
it.
assist.
Chisel?
Yeah.
Really?
Chiseling assist is a big thing.
Huh.
Because you always had guys, and I can think of one teammate, and I won't name it, but legit skating away from the pile to the ref, and 16 or and whatever the number, yeah.
Starting to sound like the zigzags, too. boys begging for assists.
So when you sent it, I read it that somebody from London just wouldn't give him access to the room.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah.
I'm like, Dale and Mark Hunter, way to go.
Oh, yes.
Way to go.
Their ship.
Just shut them right down. You want to mess with my team? Hey,
Yeah.
This ain't politics. This ain't the free press.
What a league. God
for
love the
them.
OHL. Anyways, I thought it was a funny story. Quick
good
chat.
for them.
Yep.
All right, take a quick break here.
Yeah, let's take a break. We'll get to John Forslund on the other side.
There you go. Sammy just said it. More when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the program. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. As a reminder, tomorrow is Friday.
Let's go already?
The Rails Friday. We've tracked down Doug McLean.
I haven't texted him. Have you talked to him?
I don't know.
I haven't talked to him.
Okay, we'll send him a note.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's in Vegas.
Is he at the Sphere again? Like, what's going on?
I don't care where he is. 12th hole tomorrow. He's coming on the show. All right. And what else? We got Leaf.
Yes. Tomorrow, it's the Leafs line in the first hour, as we've been doing for, I think, 3 or 4 Fridays now, and it's been a rousing success. So if you're wanting to get a Leafs thought, call the Leafs line. It's 416-413-4141, and you can leave a message. You'll hear my voice, name your name and location, and we'll play you on the show if you're any good. So 416-413-4141. Thanks.
It's been a blast.
And as we've proven in almost 4 years now, even if you're not any good, you can still make it on this show.
Yeah. Yeah. You looking at the guy behind me?
All right, let's go from the worst to the best. Bring in John Forslund, play-by-play man for Seattle and one of the best nationally on TNT. John, how are you, pal?
I was just going to say, I hope I meet the criteria for this show, and I guess I do.
But the bar's so low on this show.
You're fine.
That's why we're all comfortable, boys. This is good. This is good.
It is. How are you? How's the schedule been? You must be gearing up for Four Nations as well, right?
Yeah, no work for me, Four Nations.
No?
I'm going to take I'm going to take the 2 weeks and get some rest and head back east and just rest up for the stretch run here in the playoffs and all that. So, but I'll be watching like everybody else. And Kyper, to answer your question, things are great. I'm in a good place and battling through this schedule. It's been busy, but thank goodness it is. It's good.
It's Toronto Maple Leafs tonight facing off against a Seattle Kraken team where, John, we thought this team would be more in a situation where they're still very much in the hunt. It's going to be really hard. I'm not sure how much we want to write them off just as of yet, but got to be a little disappointing.
Oh, it is. It's a team that I think would be closer to the line. Where they're at, it's been hard to try and figure out exactly, what they're trying to do defensively. I think that's been their eyesore most of the season. They've been able to open up their game offensively, but they kind of rob Peter to pay Paul. So this has been a situation that I think they're trying to get more and more connected with their team game. It hasn't worked out. They're ways off. They haven't proven that they can string together a long winning streak, which is what they need to get back into this. So yeah, it's early to kind of write things off, but I think it's realistic to look at it and say, what are the reasons for this? and where do they need to go moving forward as a team and as a franchise.
John, they have some interesting names of guys that you feel like could have high ceilings, and you're just not sure where it's going to go for them. I'm thinking of Matty Beniers as a guy like that. Shane Wright, you weren't sure what he could become. Tolvanen, what has sort of slowed? I don't want to say the progress because they're learning and getting better and all that, but where are they compared to, particularly Beniers and Wright, compared to where you thought they might be at this point?
Well, Beniers had the bad second year, right? And so I think that put him in a spot where he probably mentally wasn't exactly where he needed to be. I'm not going to speak for his confidence, but we can all look at as outsiders and say that, yeah, probably he lost a little bit of confidence after winning Rookie of the Year. Once the contract was put to bed, the hope was that, that would be in the rear view and he could attack things positively and continue to grow as a player. I will tell you, Justin, that over the last month or so, the best line they've had has been Beniers with Jaden Schwartz and the newcomer, Kaapo Kakko. Kakko's been very good for Beniers. He's a big body presence, as you know, and he's been able to kind of reshape his game, and they kind of work in concert off each other. Schwartz has been probably in and out their best player all year. He's had a real good, solid season and brings a pros mentality to that line. So Matty continues to grow and take ownership of his own game and leadership. I think what we all need to see moving forward is exactly what is the kind of player he's going to be. Is he a frontline guy? Is he a real good number 2 center? I kind of think that's what he's going to be, and that's quite all right, because he has improved his defensive game this year. That's one thing that fell off in his second year was a defensive aspect of his game. That's been okay. Shane Wright's progress has been dynamite. This has been a steady progression from the very beginning of the season, very quietly without a lot of pressure or attention. He's been able to acclimate himself to his first full season in the NHL. I like what I'm seeing. He's on pace right now for a 65 point year. There's potential here. There's potential for him to make a bigger leap with his game. And if so, they being the Kraken, they're going to be okay. These two players, obviously with their draft position, second overall, Beniers, fourth overall for Wright, they have to hit, right? They have to be really good players for the Kraken to do what they want to do.
You're listening to John Forslund, play-by-play man with the Seattle Kraken as they host the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. So I want to get into a trade deadline soon upon us after Four Nations here, John. But before I do that, just the thoughts of Kakko and what he's brought to the table here. At one time, untouchable for the New York Rangers, and obviously that did not work out well for him in New York. But what's it meant to Seattle up until this point?
Well, it's been a good trade, Kyper, for both teams. Borgen goes to the Rangers. They like him. They give him a contract extension. He seems to fit, their back end moving forward. And Kakko has come in here and I think relaxed. I think whatever pressure he may have had on himself or whatever fit he was trying to find or the slot he was looking for the Rangers that wasn't there, it's here. So he gets plenty of ice time. He's utilized in a lot of different areas. But he goes to the net. He goes there with a purpose. He utilizes his body to make plays, and there's synergy, as I mentioned before, between he and his two line mates. So they seem to have something going there. Now, for Kakko, there's a possible contract extension they're going to have to get to. I would think at his age, this is a player they're going to retain, they're going to move forward with. Otherwise, they don't make the deal. I think they're happy with him, and I believe he has 17 points in 22 games, going into tonight. So that's good production.
Yeah, that's great. So, I know here in Toronto, a lot of what happens leading up to the trade deadline is like, who can we get? And you look around the league, and there's a couple of names that people like in Toronto, Yanni Gourde being one, and Oleksiak's one. Do you think Seattle, what do you think their strategy is going to be? Would guys like that become available around the deadline?
Well, that's a $1 million question.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be careful. Now, I'll just say this. Yanni Gourde, as you know, had sports hernia surgery last week. And so it's a 5 to 7 week recovery period, which puts him in and around the deadline, for his return.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, Borny, what they're expecting to do with him. I would think that he's a piece that a lot of teams would like to add. There's no question. Selfishly, as I look here and look at this team from day one, I would hate to think that they're going to move forward, without Yanni Gourde in their room. Like, if you're going to transition again to get younger, and I think the Kraken are going to have to do that at some point and infuse some of these prospects, you're going to have to keep a player that has the fabric of what you're looking for in all of your players within the confines of your locker room, right? So to me, he's that guy. I got to think they're talking to him to see if they can come up with something that makes sense. Yanni's won 2 cups. I know he loves it here. I'm not going to speak for him, but I don't know if he's interested in doing that and moving on and going somewhere else. But if he is, they can't come up with something that makes sense. Then by all means, I think everything's going to be in play again. And Ron's going to have to get after it. He's going to have to do what he needs to do. I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to make the playoffs. So there'll be some pieces here that he might be able to put in play. But he already did that once and a couple of times, really, to accrue draft choices and stockpile the prospect pool. And I think he's pretty comfortable where that's at right now.
John, for what was deemed just a short while ago an expansion franchise, some bold moves, including Grubauer, who just got recently sent down, Stevenson and Montour last year. So, yeah, there's definitely the disappointment here of not being in a present playoff run right now. But, my question to you is, did Vegas kind of ruin it a little bit for Seattle with maybe expectations coming too fast, too soon, based on, getting to a Stanley Cup final?
Yeah, I think they did and it's a good question, from the outside perception, right? If you talk to hockey people and the scouts and managers and so on, as we all do, they'll tell you that, hats off to Vegas. They've been remarkable. They've done a tremendous job with their team. They came in, they hit the ground running, and they made bold moves to win in the now. Ron came in under a little different framework of rules. It wasn't as easy to put together the roster. I don't think he did too badly right out of the chute. But then I think he also wanted to put into place a plan for long-range success, which means you got to be patient with your draft choices. You have to draft. You have to accrue draft picks. You have to, make sure they develop at the right pace. But then the outside noise creeps in, Nikki. And when that happens, it's hard, right? And it's happening in Seattle. The NBA might be coming here in a couple of years. And the Kraken want to make sure they have a relevant place on the landscape here when that happens. So there's pressure. And I think there was pressure on Ron to go into free agency, go hard. There's commitment from ownership to win. Going to the cap has never been a problem here. He always has the authority to do that. So there's deep money, there's good ownership, but there's a mixed bag of results right now. And I would say there's a confused fan base, because they see what Vegas has done and they want it. Who wouldn't want it, right? So that's kind of the problem, the catch-22, if you will, that the Kraken management has been working under since inception, is trying to do it the right way, the way they believe, and also trying to fend off knee jerks and trying to fend off, impulse reactions, which can decimate a franchise, as we know. So they're kind of walking that line right now.
I think part of it with Vegas, too, is they recognized, when you get given every team's, 8th best player, it's really tough to get the top end guys. And I don't know, you can perhaps summarize this better than I can, but is it fair to say that Seattle looks as good as any other team in the NHL throughout their roster? It's just struggling to find those top end guys that Vegas kind of had to do some weird things to get.
Right. And they've been reluctant. They, being the Kraken, have been reluctant to give up the pieces, the draft choices that you would have to mortgage in order to get there. Vegas continues, at some point, I guess, it runs out, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is a philosophy that other teams will adapt to and get more into the now and understand that that's where you need to be. But I really believe that that Ron's banking on his philosophy of how you need to build a team and make it solid for long-term success. And I still think it's year 4. It's early for that. I do think the team, as I said at the top of the interview, has performed under expectation. I think everybody thought they'd be closer to a playoff spot. Not saying they're ready to take a round again or 2 rounds or be in that mix. No. But they are closer than being 10, 12 points out, whatever it's going to be when we hit the break. That's a disappointment.
John, really appreciate your time, man. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy your 2 weeks, and we'll catch up to you soon.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks for having me. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
John Forslund, play-by-play man with the Seattle Kraken.
You nailed it. Vegas ruined it for you.
Yeah, totally.
It's just like this is like what happens with
No, but
expansion teams.
Vegas laid out a map, a road map.
But it wasn't.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, can't hit that roadmap. It's just too hard.
It was Seattle was much more aware or other teams were prepared for Seattle in a way they weren't prepared for Vegas.
100%.
Like got handed Marchessault and Riley Smith.
I don't know.
in Florida.
Shea Theodore's not bad.
William Karlsson was a giveaway from Columbus, if I'm not mistaken. The guy turned into a
scored 40 goals.
Top 6 centerman or top 2 lines.
That's fair. So it was different. And then
Marc-Andre Fleury, come on, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Stanley Cup champion, Hall of Famer.
Took him to the final. Winnipeg still cries about that series where they were the much better team and Marc-Andre Fleury just stole it from him. But
that team didn't become that team until that team got Alex Pietrangelo and they got
Mark Stone.
They went to a Stanley Cup final. They went to a final
with Pietrangelo.
No, like in their first year.
Oh, in their first year.
First year. They went to a Stanley Cup final.
They did. They had a hell of a year, absolutely. I do feel like there's a difference between a team who has that sort of hot run.
Yeah.
And I take your point. You're right. But Seattle needs Mark Stone, Pietrangelo, Eichel. You need these guys.
Yeah.
And we joked all the time about, like, treat yourself. Last draft. Like, could have had grab a Tarasenko. It's high risk.
Grab a Matt Duchene.
Marchessault ended up being a special guy.
Stud.
Right?
Yeah.
Riley Smith you mentioned. But these guys turned into, like, legit winners from being a cast off.
And they had that. They also had that. The whole thing with them was the misfits, and they had this chip on their shoulder that they were not wanted by these other teams. And they turned in, and they had Derek Eglin was the captain at the time, and he was from there.
They had the shooting, the tragedy.
And it was like a perfect
galvanized
storm.
the whole community.
Yeah, it was
out
crazy.
of the gate.
Yeah,
like
that's a crazy story.
The story of the Vegas Knights is really an unbelievable first 5.
It is.
I'll never forget going there last year, and I was in an Uber, and I was wearing my Leafs hat. He's like, you're a Leafs fan, eh? Like, big hockey fan. He's like, yeah, I'm a hockey fan. He was wearing his Knights hat. I'm like, yeah, nice of you guys to get the cup. He's like, yeah, we had to wait 6 years. I'm like, I'm pulled this over right. I'm getting out of here.
Jump out of a movie vehicle, tuck and roll.
I will not accept that, sir.
You did drop the name Jamie Oleksiak.
Yeah. You want a 6'7" monster back there?
Who wouldn't want that guy?
Just 32 years old, plays both sides.
A bit of an issue at $4.6 million next year.
He's a meaty, though.
Right?
4.6 next year?
Yeah.
And then it's done?
Well, after he'll retain half that, so 2.3.
Oh, gosh. But, like, you throw out 2.3 like it's like handing out candy.
Yeah.
That's a second or first rounder.
Yes, it is.
On top of trading for him. That's 2 assets.
The retention is that.
The retention is worth an asset.
Well, it's not worth a first, but I'll give you.
Well, wasn't it the third in the McCabe deal? Was it third or a second to retain?
Patrick Marleau.
That was $6.5 million. That's not too.
Let's not redo that. We gotta go.
It's worth something.
We gotta go.
All right, we go national next. When we return, Hall of Famer Luc Robitaille. Lucky Luke. Time to take Real Kyper and Bourne national. We're live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. I'm Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Next with you for the next hour. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Hockey Hall of Famer, LA King president Luc Robitaille. Great of him to join us. We obviously been through a lot with the wildfires out there, so we're certainly happy to hear his always positive voice. And I got a chance to have him as a teammate in New York, and just a treat to be around. The ultimate guy in terms of smile on his face, a laugh, and a real positive guy.
It kind of reminds me of SNL's Five Timers Club. Like they give out some sort of, what is it?
Jacket.
Robe or a jacket or whatever.
Yeah, you're right, a robe.
I feel like this might be Lucky Luke's jacket program for us. He's become somewhat of a Kings regular for us. He's been fantastic. We should get a Five Timers coat.
He told the draft story, maybe his first time ever coming on our show.
That he went.
And I forget what the story was, but I just remember we were crying our eyes out.
It's in Montreal. It was in Montreal, and he was a mid-pick. And by the time the Kings picked him, they had no merchandise for him. So they gave away jerseys and hats to all the top picks. And the guy goes, I got nothing for you. And he goes, oh, wait, take this pin.
Give him a pin.
Off his own, off somebody's jacket.
I'm drafted by an NHL team. I have a pin.
Oh, what was even funnier was that, so he leaves the stands to go to the table, which the tables were on ice level. And the security guy goes, no fans on there. No fans. I'm a player.
And after that draft story, played 1,431 games, 668 goals, and 726 assists. So.
Yeesh. President of the LA Kings.
Yep.
The Kings are solidly in a playoff spot yet again.
Big win last night.
Yeah.
Against the Montreal Canadiens, who were looking like one of those teams along with Detroit and Columbus and... What happened? What were they? They were 12-2 or something. They had an amazing run.
Yeah.
And then they have a bad week.
Well, everyone is kind of the same this year. You get hot for a stretch. Your goalie plays great for a stretch. You can win a few, but you just, because there's so many teams in the chase, you can't have a bad week or two. I wrote about the Atlantic today, and I included Montreal in the race for the final playoff spot. I'm not going to say it was a courtesy, but another bad week, and they're going to be on their way out. They're looking up now.
That's nice.
Another bad week.
Buddy, they're 5 points out of the second wild card spot, but they're behind the Rangers, Isles, Blue Jackets, Bruins, Wings, Lightning, Ottawa, all ahead of them. So,
yeah, you look at the Eastern Conference, and it looks like it's going to be one of the best playoff races we've had in a really long time. And then you go down to the West, and it's like, yeah, it feels like there's
it's the Canucks or the Flames.
That's it, and that's kind of end of the story. So. Good. I guess that's good to have those two markets battling against each other.
And LA seems to be still one of those teams where, like, if we said that there were,
hold on,
if we said that there's 10 legitimate teams, did you mention 12 the other day?
What's that in the East?
To win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, to win 12.
12
to win the Cup.
Would LA be one of your 12?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, they were doing well, and they've added Drew Doughty. He's playing 25 minutes, over 25 minutes per game in his return.
His ice time since coming back, 25-16, 24-15, 27-43, 23-51 in his 4 games since returning.
All right. With that, let's welcome in Luc Robitaille, Hockey Hall of Famer. Luc, thanks for joining us, man. I know a couple times that we tried to get you on, and we just couldn't get it done. But I got to ask you first and foremost, LA, the rebuild, cleaning out the debris. How is that around you and the LA Kings and ultimately the community?
Well, it's been it's been pretty amazing to see in a devastated way. It's like when you go in those areas, it feels like it's like a war movie you've seen on TV. it's something we didn't expect. The area of Pacific Palisades, there's all those hiking trails that have been going for years, and you always see those fires in LA, but it always seems like it's far away. And this time to be this close and have so many friends that lost their homes or people that and what's happening, it's I think now is more the time. I know people stop talking about it, but in LA, you hear more now. Like people are worried it's going to take 4 years or 5 years, and they got to get an architect. They hope they can rebuild. They hope their insurance works the right way and so forth. So it's a lot of behind the scene, and a lot of people are going to need help in the next few years.
Can I ask you, just before we move on, just the effect of the players? I know when it happened, I think they were on a Western road trip, but how have they been since returning and finding the devastation, and how have they responded for you?
You know how big LA is. So in their area, there's nothing going on. But I think all of our young players, they have girlfriends or living with them or their young wives. They've never seen or been part of this. So for them, they were really worried. So we had to make sure, we had to communicate with everyone, say, don't worry, you'll be okay. It was interesting to see the reaction from all of them. They were scared, because they didn't really know. And you watch the news, and for us locally, it was every time you turn on the TV, that's all everyone was talking about. So there's definitely a lot that going on around that.
So as you guys turn the page to hockey, I imagine, off the ice things, the focus are different places, but you guys still have you're in a fight here. In the standings, obviously you guys solidly in a playoff spot right now. How do you feel about how things are going? You guys must be excited about having Doughty back.
Yeah, I was listening to you guys talking about Drew's minutes, 28 minutes.
Yeah.
Way to ease him in.
5 games for you? That was 3 with me with Coley as our coach.
Hey, what are you guys trying to do to him?
They said we haven't planned. This is our coach. We haven't planned. He's not going to play that many minutes. Next thing you know, the game starts. Drew's playing 25 minutes. What can you do?
Just in terms of what that feels like, having the whole season without him, and then finding a guy that can do it all for you for essentially half of a game, what does that do to you moving forward? And I'll include the trade deadline, Luc.
Yeah, I don't think it changed because we knew Drew was coming back at some point. We do feel, even though he's playing a lot of minutes, he's only going to get better. I mean, it takes time to get back after missing a year, especially whether it's your knee or your ankle when you get hurt like that. But it's definitely like adding a player at the deadline, and we're adding our best defenseman. I mean, we're so lucky that Mikey Anderson, Gavrikov, they played so well. Moverauer came in. Clarke's had a really good start, for his first full season. Jordan Spence taken to another level. So, and obviously Edmondson has played real well for us. So we're pretty fortunate, and then adding Drew is making a big difference. And I would say it doesn't change the way we've been talking about it for the last couple of months of what the addition would like to do, if any. So it's just that we kind of knew he was going to come back, and at the same time, we knew no matter what, it would take a few games for him to be 100%.
Are you surprised at how Anze Kopitar is still fantastic? I know he's been good, but do you guys keep waiting for him to slow down a bunch?
I don't know if we're waiting to slow down, because he plays him and Bergeron, they're very special player. Bergeron was kind of like Kopi. If you were to flip-flop Kopi with Bergeron, Kopi might have won as many, Selke as Pettersson. If Pettersson was in LA, because they're so close to each other. Barkov is a little bit like that now. But they're players that you could count on for 200 feet, and you kind of know he's not going to get 100 points, he's going to get 70 points on a good year, 85. But every game, you know what to expect. You had a big face-up, he's out there. You're up a goal in the last minute, you want him to be on the ice. You're down a goal, you want him because he'll make the sure play. And there's a lot to say about that. the speed and the way he plays the game in his mind and so forth has never changed. So I'm not surprised. I do think like he's like they've been a great pair, and then he's been really good, Kopi, when we play young kids with him that just get going. He seems to be guiding him the right way. So Turcotte's been good for us and him. So, but I couldn't say I'm surprised though.
Mm-hmm.
Did you take out a billboard stating that you still have the best Slovenian athlete in LA now, with Luka getting traded to the Lakers?
What do I hear if we're talking about athlete? Like he probably is.
Yeah.
I don't.
Hey, tons of pressure on you to go make another Gretzky trade, you guys.
I know, yeah. I wish we had those taxes.
Right?
No, that's they're actually, these two are really good friends. I think the Luca looks up to Kopi because he's a few years older and what he represents in his country. So I know whenever he comes in town, if they have time, they go to dinner together. So people have been pretty excited about getting this kid over here.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Those two guys, I'm sure, are very happy about it. How do you assess the division, the conference around you guys? It's we're talking about the East, and it seems like 14 teams can get into the playoffs. Doesn't seem like the case in the West.
You know what? Every game is hard in this league now. There's no bogey. There's no game that you come in and say, oh, okay, we're gonna win this one. Like it just doesn't seem to happen. Everyone's always dangerous. I think the biggest thing is you got to keep winning your games, and then you'll play where you end up. But the top teams in our conference, they're really good. Like, I mean, they're really good. Like, watching Edmonton, they've been playing real well. Dallas goes up and down a little bit. I know they got a couple injuries, but they're a great team, and then you start going up and, you look at Vegas and so forth. There's some really good, obviously Winnipeg, everybody's been watching how they're going, but there's no easy game. I mean, if you're not ready against San Jose, they might just those kids will get 3 or 4 like real quickly if you're not paying attention. We saw it. We were in a 2-2 game. Everything was going good, and we kind of closed our eyes for about 3 minutes, and we ended up losing 5-2 or 6-2 early in the year. There, it's amazing. So you just got to be ready every game. I mean, I know what you're saying. The race, it might be a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And there's no easy games.
So if we do maybe envision an LA Edmonton Oiler matchup, a year later, how do you see this lineup stacked up against some of those teams that you just mentioned from where you guys were 12 or 18 months ago?
Well, the Oilers are a great team. They got the 2 best players in the world, no questions right now. I think, we switch our PK a little bit. Like 5-on-5, we've always played them really good. It seems like I think their power play was, if it wasn't 50%, it was 45% against us last year. And even though we had a great PK during the year, it didn't seem to work the way we played in the playoffs. So we've adjusted that. So hopefully that'll make a difference if we face them in the playoffs. And then 5-on-5, though, we've never seemed to have a problem to play them head to head. It just seemed like their power play was the best power play in the league in the first round for the last 3 years against us.
Yeah. That involves some tweaks for sure. When I was kind of doing some matchup stuff, looking at teams, like some of the expected goal stats and stuff, say the Kings are the best defensive team in the NHL. Do you credit Jim Hiller's coaching or you yourself for assembling such great personnel?
I told everyone to play my way. I came from the Quebec League, was all offense.
Yeah.
One way.
No retreat.
My way.
I think, we were talking with Rob Blake and a few of our guys the other day about that. We really believe having an Anze Kopitar and a Drew Doughty on your team that play a certain way. If your best player play a certain way, which is 200 feet and, never takes a chance or blind passes up the middle, the players coming in, they have to adjust that way. And we really believe that because of those guys, our team, it seemed like it doesn't matter who's in our lineup, we play the same way. And we give him total credit over the years of the way the LA Kings have played. That makes it really hard to play against us. Even though Drew wasn't playing, he's around. Before that, even having Quickie, a leader, a lot of those young guys had Jonathan Quick, Dustin Brown, all those guys that were around here, they played a certain way that made it hard for every team to come in here and play against us.
I got to ask you about Brandt Clarke, who's considered one of the better younger defensemen in the league. His development, what Drew Doughty has now brought back to the team, and how that's kind of relooked at his role moving forward. Very hard for defensemen, I guess, under the age of 22 to hold a permanent spot here.
Yeah, he's a very special player. Like even we watched him last night. Every pass is on the stick. We know how important he is to the future of this organization. So, he's still learning to play defensively and to play a certain way. You got to remember, every game when you're playing for us, it's just like you're playing in Toronto or Tampa Bay. Every game matters, and you're not trying to get in the playoffs. You're trying to win the playoffs. So it's a little bit different. So, but we really like his progression. This is his first full year. He's still learning, and he's going to learn even more with Drew being in the lineup. I think Joel Edmondson's been really good for him, but we know he's one of the guys that's going to help us get to the next level.
Hey, looking at guys who are having great years, that Darcy Kuemper, a .919 save percentage for you guys. I guess that kind of helps some. You mentioned the defensive structure before. Things are, maybe he's seeing easier shots, but still unbelievable numbers this year.
He's been really good.
Yeah.
He's been really good. I give him full credit. He's come in this year, and he's making the saves that he has to make, and every once in a while he makes some that just kind of takes you to the next level. He's never losing games for us, but at the same time he's stealing a few every night, and that's what makes his save percentage so high. So far he's been really good all year.
I want to switch gears a little bit with the Four Nations tournament coming up, and the thought of Drew Doughty participating, and that makes you feel, Luc, how? Like, is it something that you would encourage, or is it something that you quietly go, God, I hope they don't pick him?
I think, Kippy, I love the game of hockey. Anytime I got invited to an all-star game or anything, it was a privilege. I didn't take any of those things for granted, and I think if you have a chance to represent your country, you should run to do it. It's the greatest thing. You get to be around the best players in the world. It's very special. So if they call Drew to do it, I know he wants to play, but if they call him, and they want him, I'll be the first one to be cheering him on. It's probably good for him to play those extra games too, but I know he will help them if he plays for them, but it's amazing for me to any player that has a chance to play for their country in those tournaments. You have to do it.
And he's looking good, feeling good. This is an option for our country here, Luc.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, freaking 25 minutes a game.
He better be. Yeah. Fair enough.
Look, overall, any concerns at all about doing this mid-season? Just generally, if you've participated, would you prefer to see it in September or anywhere outside of the 82-game season for you?
No, the greatest thing for our game is if we're going to do a big event where you're going to take all the best players and all their salary and everything that goes behind it. We all remember when I think it was John Tavares that got hurt for the Islanders in the Olympics, and then they missed the playoffs, and that hurts. But if we're doing things for the good of our game, to grow the game, to do them in September is only us Canadians that care about it.
Mm-hmm.
No one else around the world cares about these tournaments, like whether it was Canada Cup or the World Cup in September. Now, you suddenly do it in February this year. Is it going to be the highest rated show in the US or around the world? No. But next thing you know, you got the Olympics next year, and then you got a World Cup in a few years, and it's always the best player. And then if we do this right, you're going to have the Olympics 2 years later, and then 2 years later, the World Cup again. I really believe in 2-3 tournaments hopefully we're getting where the world is paying attention to hockey. And that should be the goal. That's the only reason you should have Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid leaving their team. It should be to do the best tournament in the world and make it that the whole world wants to see it. You know, whether, every hockey fan should want to see it, but even maybe non-hockey fan, just like they'll watch a Game 7 of any sports or another World Cup of soccer, because everyone wants to see a Game 7. You know, even you might not like the sport, but you'll pay attention to a Game 7, whatever the sport is. So that's kind of the way I look at these tournaments. If they have a Game 7 and the finals is one game and it's the two best teams or the best players in the world, hopefully these tournaments make it that ratings and the relevancy of our hockey world gets bigger. It can't get any bigger in Canada, guys. You know, it's got to go around outside Canada, you know.
Yeah.
Very well said, Luke. Love having you on this on our program, man. Don't be such a stranger. We'll keep hunting you down. Okay.
Appreciate your time.
And I make it's a mandate that every once a month I tell the draft story of you getting a pin.
Oh yeah,
we did it before you came on today. You have
Did I show it to you last time?
No.
All right, hold on.
He's got it. He's got the pin that he was drafted in.
That's really cool.
Come
and that
on.
just goes to show.
So, when my dad passed away, I found it in a cup, and then I brought it in my office, and I had a guy make
Oh,
it.
that's beautiful. How cool.
Really well done,
At least
my
it's
friend.
a nice pin.
Very well. Awesome. All right, Luke, thanks for joining us, pal.
All right.
Luc
Okay, guys.
Robitaille, one
Thanks
of the
a lot.
best,
See ya.
Hockey Hall of Famer, president of the LA Kings. For those of you that are only listening on one of our many platforms, go to YouTube later on or download it on our Sportsnet app and look at that pin that it was left for him at the draft table because they ran out of stuff because he was such a low pick.
Hey,
A high pick. Or
yeah.
no, low pick. Low pick.
I thought that kind of little soliloquy we got out of him at the end about the best on best and the tournaments, whatever, I thought that was really meaningful.
Yeah.
I think he absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
And I think that the work that he speaks of course, is, and he said it, we're okay here in Canada, but the U.S. is kind of still clueless, I think, with international hockey.
And I think it'll help that they have amazing players. Like, as these events become regular, they'll be a contender every time.
There was the jolt from the 1980. We know that. But it didn't grow. It kind of died there. And then there was this next phase that picked up off of the 1980 that led to the Brian Leaches, the Billy Guerins, the Mike Modanos, the Keith Kachuks. And then we've got now a 2010-ish kind of group that looked at 1996 of those guys at the World Cup.
How'd it go for them in 2010? I forget.
I don't know. Yeah. But
They lost in
as
overtime.
far as far now,
I know you actually got
Right.
yeah. But as far as like continuous growth that he's talking about to get to that place where everybody notices the best hockey players in the world, it's like we got some work to do.
Buddy, we do. And when that happens and we've created that stage, and hopefully this is a jumping off point for what we're talking about, and American fans, it's on ESPN and TNT, and we say, here's the Hughes family and how good they are, and here's Austin Matthews, and here's the Tkachuk brothers, and whatever. I think there's a lot to grab onto and say, God, I like this sport. I like our country here. I like this.
And I saw it today. I'm always on the NHL public relations site, grabbing stats and stuff for the show. And the NHL today debuted the International Tournament Records site. So the new section, complemented by iconic imagery, includes statistics and recaps from the NHL International Tournaments, Canada Cups in 76, 81, 84, 87, and 91, and the World Cup of Hockey in 96, 2004, and 2016. So they put like all these stats together. And I just had a blast this morning.
Yeah.
Going through it. Yeah, it's awesome. It just like has everything that you want, like all the stats, all the records. I mean, like it's funny. You like, who has the most points of all time in all the tournaments? It's like,
Wayne.
yes. It's like,
It's also Wayne.
It's just like, oh, I go to this too, and you can't get away from it. But if you are a stats guy like I
Except
am,
for Ovi has 46 empty netters somehow in international play.
but
He's gonna
yeah,
catch 'em.
it's just you go through the championships, and it's Coffey, Gretzky, Messier. They all have 3. It's just very cool. I'm into this kind of stuff. So I don't know if you guys care, but who do you think has, outside of Wayne, has the most goals in these?
Is it Mario?
No, it's two guys. It's Soviet Union, aka right. It's Makarov and Krutov are the second, and then it goes Mike Bossy, Lemieux, Keith Kachuk, Brett Hall. So it's all in one place. I think it's really sick that the NHL did that.
That
I
is
love
cool.
it. So go peruse it. I was perusing all morning. Big peruse guy.
Big perusal.
Oh yeah. Anyways, and then Kyper could not care less.
No,
You're
I'll
thrilled.
take a look at that.
No, will you?
Yeah.
Are you lying to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Game time?
That's one of my favorite interactions on the show ever.
Who do you think has the most game-winning goals ever, Kyper, in these tournaments?
Ever?
Yeah, the most game-winning goals.
Most game-winning goals.
Yeah.
Is it not Wayne?
Mario.
No, neither.
Is it Makarov? Is it Krutov? Is it
No,
Bossy?
it's a Canadian. It's Bossy.
Oh.
Bossy.
Bossy has 4. Lemieux has 4. Bobby Hall with 3. So there you go. It's got it all. Anyways, it's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Now let me get my phone because it's tangled up in my stuff here. Lots of games on the ice tonight, including the Toronto Maple Leafs playing at an ungodly hour. They are big faves on the road here. They are minus 155 against the Seattle Kraken in Seattle. Anthony Stolarz making his return. The Seattle Kraken plus 130 there. The Tampa Bay Lightning. Oh, go ahead.
We make the Canucks play at 4 o'clock. We make the Oilers play at 5. The Kraken get to start at normal time?
Yeah, it's a weekday.
All right.
It's a weekday. And those other 2 markets. Sorry, Canucks. I went to that game one time in Vancouver.
The 4 p.m.
It's awesome.
Oh, buddy, you're out at 7 o'clock?
I went out. We had a full
Rock
night
and
out. Me
roll.
and Riccio, we went out for dinner. We went out for drinks after the whole thing, and it was like 10 o'clock.
Now, all those Leaf fans from Calgary, Edmonton, Calgary, go to Seattle?
It's kind of far.
I feel like Seattle does pretty
Will
good
they have half the
attendance-wise.
building? Like,
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure if they
Crazy.
will or not.
You know,
Anyways,
I think it's one thing if they play in like April and you can go to Seattle. Well, that might be a bit rainy, but seasonally, I'm not sure it's a real thrill to be there right now.
the Vancouver Canucks are back in the ice tonight. The new look Canucks visiting the San Jose Sharks. They are minus 205 favorites against the Canucks, against the Sharks. They're a whole new team now. So you're watching the Canucks. It feels like they're a totally different thing. They signed Marcus Pettersson to a long-term contract. We'll talk about that in news and notes. And the other game that I was bringing up before I was so rudely interrupted, the Tampa Bay Lightning hosting the Ottawa Senators again tonight. Second straight game they've played there in Florida. Weird scheduling, but a big one for both teams. I'd say bigger for the Sens. They need to get this one. Plus 140 underdogs in Tampa taking on the Lightning.
You know, when you're the Sens and like a lot of the teams that are on that sort of cut line, you just can't afford to be as hurt as they've been. Pinto now hurt, Norris out. Like they don't have enough elite guys that you can just constantly be without 2 of them.
you can't have a bad week.
Yeah.
From here on in, you cannot have a bad week.
That includes the Leafs. Like you got to keep winning here. Everybody's winning.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
I think 104 points wins the Atlantic.
Okay. And is it going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs that get 104 points to win the Atlantic, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
All right.
Heard it first.
We'll take a quick break because we got a ton to get into. Sammy mentioned a new 6-year contract extension for Marcus Pettersson. Also, a lot of nervous Vancouver Canuck fans on Quinn Hughes and his scenario, and will he participate into Four Nations tournament? We'll get an update from Patrick Alvin, plus Sid Crosby
That
as
he
well.
didn't get a letter is concerning, right?
Missing his second straight practice with this upper body injury.
No.
Lots to get into still
Okay.
when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. A reminder that this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. All right, Marcus Pettersson, no real surprise here. 6-year deal, $33 million contract. Jimmy Rutherford loves this guy, right? Targeted him for a very long time. And he got his guy, and he didn't hesitate at all to get him down on a 6-year deal.
Yeah, I mean, they sent a first-round pick to Pittsburgh. This is a guy they were going to have to keep. He's only 28 years old. He's long. He's rangy. He defends. There's lots to like there for Pettersson. So, yeah. So, hold on. Is this DPD or is the other Elias Pettersson DPD?
Either.
So, too many Petterssons.
I will say, though, I don't know a ton about Pettersson's game. Like, I remember him a bit in Pittsburgh, and, I watched him a bit in those Canucks games. But I think a lot of people, when they made that Hronek trade, kind of balked at them giving up a first-round pick where they were at in their trajectory. And remember, because and he turned out to be a perfect partner for Hughes, and he's been really good.
This is my take on the Brandon Ingram trade. You got to get good players when you can.
But the Vancouver Canucks are a little closer to competing than the Toronto
they weren't.
Boosters are right now. But
when they bought Hronek, there's people thinking they should be rebuilding.
Anyways, I think they've just totally remade their decor here in a short period of time, and just I don't know. Give them credit. I don't think that's a bad contract at all. I don't know what people are thinking in Vancouver, but
no,
it's a good number.
Listen, he's a Jake McCabe type of guy where it's like 4, 5, 6, right? Like you can play.
How does Jake McCabe slander there?
No, it's not. It's
4, 5, 6.
Second pair, and maybe on a championship team they slide into a 6, a 5. That's all. Like $5.5 million now gets you 20 minutes, stay at home, and shouldn't really be your first or second best defenseman.
No.
Is that slandering those guys?
No, it's slandering Jake McCabe.
What do you think Jake is?
I don't know. Does he lead the Leafs in ice time? He plays constantly.
Okay, but
he crushes guys. Pettersson hasn't thrown a hit in 5 years.
Is he going to do that all the way to the conference final for the Leafs?
I don't know.
We're about to find out.
That's just my point. Like you don't know. You don't necessarily look at Jake McCabe now as a top 2 defenseman.
Well,
I certainly don't think he's
at $5 million.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't him and Tanev have like the best defensive metrics in the league when they play together?
Correct.
Yeah, they're very good together.
I see your point.
I'm talking about winning a Stanley Cup. I'm not talking about making the playoffs.
Right.
Okay.
That's all. When you slot in a guy at $5 million, he's not supposed to be your
best dude.
Your even your second best dude.
Yeah. And it's going to change, right? Like I think
Marcus is that guy. He's not coming in there and saving the Vancouver Canucks, but he can be a guy that can munch minutes. If
you can have a good middle pair, it is a vast difference. If you can have a guy like that playing, think about the best teams have won cups. Vegas's decor has been sort of the shining example of having a great decor. They've been solid all the way through. Colorado, when they won, were great. It's part of what it takes. Pettersson could be a part of that. And on a team like that, he's probably farther down to where you're talking about.
I'm just really hoping, I don't know if it's happened yet, but Pettersson from Pettersson and Pettersson.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't happened yet.
Well, give me a Pettersson from Pettersson and Pettersson, and I don't care what combination it is. I just want to see it at some point.
It would be interesting. Marcus Pettersson, interestingly enough, not an overly physical guy, but still defends very well.
Yeah.
Okay, it really sounds like Patrick Allvin, I think, made a comment today about Quinn Hughes making the call.
Up to you.
Up to you. We'll just support him. And I don't know the exact quote, but it's like nobody knows his body better than him, and he'll let us know. And
has your wife ever said "up to you" without you knowing exactly what she wants you to do?
This is from Ian McIntyre on X. Canucks hope to see Quinn Hughes play Saturday versus Toronto, but it's largely the captain's call for Team USA at the Four Nations. GM Patrick Allvin. Quinn is extremely professional. He knows his body and what he can or cannot do, so I trust him a lot. We're supporting him in his position.
See, I wouldn't make that public.
Really?
Yeah, I would not.
Because he puts the onus.
If he bails, then it's like
puts the onus on him for bailing.
No, it's like he goes, he gets hurt, he misses the rest of the season, and now Allvin didn't have the guts to tell him what he needed to be told, and that is, don't play, you're hurt.
Get ready to learn ailment, buddy. You're not playing.
just to me. That's what you got to be careful of.
You know, I
And it's like
also
your job's to be the boss. Your job is to make those. You're paid.
but it isn't.
You're paid to make those tough decisions.
And the best thing, the most important part of Patrick Allvin's job is to keep Quinn Hughes.
Happy.
Yes, to keep him, period.
To keep him in
happy,
Western
keeps
Canada.
him on the Canucks.
That's right.
Yes.
So
And
you
so-
start with happy first,
Yeah.
and then it turns into
Stay here.
Staying.
And that's part of
great
this
point.
like trade shuffling, whatever. And it's like,
And I'm not saying
if that's what he wants to do,
I'm not
whatever he
saying
wants.
I'm not saying that it's not the case. I'm just saying don't let everybody else know about it.
yeah.
There's no reason.
Yeah.
Again, like too much information. What is with this Vancouver Canucks organization where they got to go on TV and they got to spill their guts?
Could you not discourage it, please?
Just
We're living off
Well,
this.
what do you
'cause
like-
our whole show is
We could-
afloat because
We could
of
be
it.
on in the training room. Jimmy's in there. You got to tell.
Jimmy, keep it in.
No, disagree. Totally.
We love
I
it.
don't know who got to you, buddy, but the media is bad.
So-
They're bad people.
So I couldn't find it while we're chatting, but I believe you have to declare players out for the Four Nations Fea or any replacements by Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So today's Thursday, so you have 4 days.
I got news for you.
What you got?
It's their tournament. They can change it to
Yeah.
Tuesday. They can do lunch. They can do whatever they want.
I think if it's
Intermission
like,
of game one.
yeah, I think if like they're deciding if Quinn Hughes and Sidney Crosby are going to play, they can take as much time as
Yeah.
they want.
They're like, actually, guys, they said right before we said they couldn't do it anymore.
They just made it up last year. They can do whatever they want.
So anyway, that's the deadline to make those sort of calls. If Quinn Hughes doesn't play this weekend, really, really hard to say.
I don't know
He's going
how
to the tournament.
I don't know how you could put him in there not
Can I-
playing
can I tell you-
Saturday night.
I think he's going to play on Saturday night, regardless, so he can play in the Four Nations. He warmed up last game. Like, he thought he was close.
Yeah.
I bet you. I think he plays in the Four Nations.
I think it just goes back to I think the pressure that the players have put upon themselves to go and
Yeah.
put on a good show.
They pushed for this event. They're joint
Yep.
owners of the
I respect-
hockey-related revenue created by it.
Respect the hell out of anybody that's pushing through something to go and play in it.
Yeah.
I really do. Because like you said, they've wanted it forever. It's a big
You know
chance.
who else is going to push through an injury?
Sid
87.
with good reason
Yeah.
It's not
because
playing.
he's got nothing to play for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Absolutely. Do we have the Sullivan audio?
No, I didn't grab it.
That's fine.
But it's just him saying that. I could read what he said.
This is
He-
head coach.
Say it grumpily.
He was not in it.
Didn't want to have that conversation.
He's continuing to be evaluated. We'll probably have more information on his status tomorrow.
Yeah.
Head
There's
coach.
also a longer
what
version of
Steve
it
said.
where he says, someone asked him, like, are you in touch with Kyle Dubas,
yeah.
the management team of Team Canada, to let them know his Sid's status? And he was just like, everything in his power not to take the guy's head off. And he's like, I got enough going on.
He's like, I got a lot on my plate with Team USA.
Yeah, Team USA. I'm sure they're doing just fine over there.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, another country. Scram beat it.
Scram beat
That's
it.
what he said.
Yep. But I, to my Quinn Hughes theory, I think he plays. I do. I think he wants us. He's the face of it. As you said, Penguins are playing for a draft pick at this point. Bring me Sidney Crosby.
Did you see those line combinations of the Pittsburgh Penguins I sent you without Sidney Crosby today?
Yeah, let's see if I can find him. Beauvillier, Raquel Rust, Bunting, Glass, Heinen, Nieto, Hayes, Tomasino, Imama, Lizotte,
Yep.
Achari.
Malkin's out for a long time.
Guess what? I'd
And
be
who
selling
else?
the damn team too. Looking
Yeah.
at that lineup.
And
Holy
who else is a
smokes.
great drop? Yeah, they're lean times for the Penguins right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, just stop with the Crosby talk about
Trading him?
Colorado. Yeah, it's just
I don't think anyone's
not
talking
gonna.
about that anymore.
No, okay.
Have you heard anything
No,
else on that?
no,
Cooper?
no. I have not.
Oh, okay.
But it kind of disappeared, right?
Yeah, it did disappear.
No comment.
But there's other guys here that are, I saw today that Werenski, it's a game time decision. He was gonna. Did you see what the quote was?
No.
Yeah, like he's been banged up and he was a game time decision. He said, I'll see how I feel after my nap.
Yeah.
That's like me going out on a Friday night. Like, we'll see how I feel after my nap.
See if I'm coming out or not.
Yeah. But, Sorelli's apparently going to miss tonight for an undisclosed reason. Like, this is the perils of having it in the middle of the season. But like Luke said, the only people that are going to care before the season are Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a lot of indecision.
Yeah,
Anyways.
absolutely. Yeah. So, want to talk about the Atlantic Division?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you got for me? And you have your Sportsnet.ca article out now?
Yes.
And this is what it's on?
This is what it's on.
Okay.
It's on handicapping the odds. So I'm going to work through it backwards a little bit. Columbus to me, so looking at it right now, the Wings and Lightning are in. Ottawa's in as well. And the teams just outside are Boston, Columbus, Islanders, Rangers.
Okay.
Got Columbus out. Any complaints there?
No.
Depends
Marchenko's
on,
injury
Yeah,
hurts.
Marchenko and Werenski's missed and could miss again.
And they're scuffling a little bit, lost 2 in a row. It's been a great year for them. I can't see them getting in. Islanders, I heard that Barzal, he had surgery, like his kneecap, I think, is not in one piece. He's not doing great. So
That sounds good.
yeah, Sorokin has been the best goaltender in the NHL since the start of January, but I just cannot see them continuing to win. They're 8-2 in their last 10 somehow. After I saw them lose 7-1 to the Sabres in December.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
I got them out.
Yeah.
So then you got the Rangers.
Big win over Boston.
Huge. Rangers,
Huge.
Bruins, Red Wings, and Ottawa. Those 4 teams competing for 2 spots because I have the Lightning in. So that's Rangers, Bruins, Red Wings, Ottawa. Who you like?
Rangers or Boston.
Yeah.
I'm not ruling out Boston because Lindholm, they haven't played with him forever.
Mhm.
And Charlie McAvoy's getting a little better.
And Swayman's coming around.
Swayman's.
He's been a .950 in 3 of his last 4 games.
Then I'm watching
Better in January.
last night. The Bruins take up excellent opportunity to go up 3-2 on a power play 10 minutes to go. The big boys go out there for all of 2 minutes, and then Kreider jumps off the bench and skates by everybody.
Shoots it in the net.
Shoots it in the net.
Yeah.
It's like,
He does that a little bit. So the things I'll add is the Red Wings have the hardest schedule remaining in the NHL. The number 1 hardest schedule. They're red hot, but it could slow down a little bit for them. I got Ottawa in and Tampa in and Rangers probably. Next thing I want to ask you about, Kip.
I just wanted to mention you were talking about that Rangers game last night. Another play that I absolutely loved on the first goal that they scored. Former Canuck, and plug your ears if you're listening in Vancouver. JT Miller, just unbelievable zone entry. Gets the puck down low, hammers the defenseman into the glass. Puck comes out front. Panarin shoots. It's like, we sure they traded the right guy.
I saw Staple already
Sure,
about how
we
he
sure
has
they
X
traded the
points
right
since
guy.
he's been there, but even he's created goals that he hasn't got points on where he's just been a bull.
He's flying around.
he also traded Zibanejad back to the Rangers.
Yeah, you recreated Zibanejad.
A good version of him.
Yeah.
So it's like they got 2 players in the trade.
Yeah. Like everyone says, Miller Lite makes guys better in the room, right?
I've made a huge mistake.
Meanwhile, Petey's just gliding through these games. Anyways, sorry, Vancouver.
Yes. So you had an article.
Petey's got it.
I wanted to ask you about some of your news and notes. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's sensitive to ask you about TV deals. Do we not want to do that news and note maybe?
I'm okay.
So
I'm
one
okay. It's all good for the players and it's good for the league.
Funny.
That there's going to be a new television deal.
Yeah. So our company's working on one.
Yeah, they got an exclusive window to get the national deal, but there's also Bell and Amazon, who I think Amazon's going to be ready to take whatever they got this year off of Rogers and perhaps enhance it on the next deal.
Try to get a bigger piece of the pie.
Yeah, and we know what the crown jewel is, right?
Our show.
Saturday nights.
Real Kyper and Bourne?
And real Kyper and Bourne.
Oh.
And,
and Leafs Talk, and those are the best.
and
That's what I thought.
Saturday nights,
Hockey night in Canada.
Hockey Night in Canada.
They couldn't. They wouldn't. They shan't.
Buddy. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
They shit.
Okay?
Hey.
Money talks,
Money time.
the rest walks.
You don't think
Money.
Gary has some nostalgic piece of, Good old
Yeah.
Canadian company
I
here.
think he does. After show me the money.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Is that all you needed to hear?
Good talk.
What would it really bother you? Yeah, it would bother.
Well,
a lot of
it-
people.
You mentioned that you thought it might be a division of Rogers, Bell, Amazon, the total package. And it seems like they do want some division. They like to spread it out. Looking at how NFL rights are, everyone has a piece of the NFL rights.
This seems sensitive.
It does seem sensitive.
Now that we're talking
I
about
feel
it.
like we should stop talking.
Doodle-doo.
I'm closer to retirement than you guys. You can tell in this conversation.
I don't know anything about anything. And I think we should have all the rights to all the games for none of the money. That's my take. And it is my take. Anyway, okay.
Oh, that's funny.
Also in that Kipper's corner,
Yeah,
you had Marner, or McDavid wants to play with Marner.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think we'll see that East Coast look of Marchand, Crosby,
McKinnon?
and McKinnon.
You
okay with that, Sammy? Team Canada.
I just can't wait to see it. I really, like, I've been talking about this on our show for 4 years, how much I love this. And it's going to be like, oh my God, I'm actually watching it. Like, I'm seeing what you've thought about, what you've dreamt about. But I will say, and I don't want to get too negative because I get accused of that a lot. Someone put out the clip, not the clip, like a board of who would win between the 2016 team and the 2025 team. Like and I look back at that 2020, I'm like, God, they have a lot of stars in their primes on that team. And the 2025 looks a lot different, like with the Konechny's and the Hagels and the Bennetts.
But you
And
know
it's
what,
like,
Sam? A lot of that happens when you look back at a career. When you go, you see the full scope and you
Yeah.
think of someone as always having been that great.
No, I know,
Brandon
you're
Hagel's
right.
26.
no, you're
So-
right. I'm like,
Give me some names.
I don't have it. in
You
front
don't
of me.
have it?
But it was
Okay.
like Thornton and Patrice
Yeah.
Bergeron and like, just like guys that Corey
Listen.
Perry and
You go
Getzlaff.
Crosby and Bergeron 1-2. Like we're talking
But
about
they played together and they were unbelievable. In 2014, those two guys played together. and like
with Brad Marchand.
the other team didn't touch the puck
Yeah,
when those
you're right.
guys
You're
were
right.
out
You're
there.
right. Marchand
So,
was on the right side.
The goals were all
So
over.
who was the second centerman?
I can't even remember, boys. I just terrible.
If you don't remember, how
What
the
chance
heck
do
are we
have?
gonna?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got no shot.
Oh, was it McDavid? No, McDavid was on a different team.
Hey, let
for
me
some
just go to my favorite new NHL record site that I was talking about, and we
They
can have a
pay you or
peruse.
what?
No, it's cool. Anyway, it's just,
So
I'm just worried about a little lack of star power.
Is
That's
your
all.
point that team was actually better?
Yeah, it was.
It was.
It was.
No
better,
chance.
Better. I mean, it's, Drew Doughty in his prime. It's, you think about the guys in defense. It's just
McKinnon, McDavid,
Listen.
Crosby.
fantastic. We have fantastic players at the top, but the depth just doesn't seem the same to me as it was when I looked at it then. I'm just being honest. That's it.
Yeah, hey, listen, I know you're worried. You're worried.
I'm just worried between the pipes.
and that
and you
helped
should
too.
be.
It was Corey
need
Crawford
one of those-
and Carey Price and Braden Holtby were the three at that point. So it's like, yeah, Carey Price.
That's where you should be concerned.
It's like one of those goalies that's in right now should be like Logan.
That's
I'm
my
gonna-
last thought
I'm gonna
on my
take
article
I'm gonna
today.
take a knee, pal.
Was that
Get in here.
and
Oh,
I don't know if-
I found the graphic here.
Okay.
So 2016 forwards. Jamie Benn, Patrice Bergeron, Jeff Carter, Sidney Crosby, Matt Duchene, Ryan Getzlaff, Claude Giroux, Brad Marchand, Tyler Sagan, Steven Stamkos, John Tavares, Joe Thornton, Jonathan Taves,
yeah, that's pretty
Burns, Doughty, Keith, Muzzin, Petrangelo, Vlasic, Weber.
Buddy, it's not better than Braden Point, McDavid, Marner, McKinnon, Hagel, Crosby,
Okay.
Cirelli, McCarr.
Okay.
Loaded.
Okay. I think it's a little better. That's it. It's a stupid argument, and Kipper hates it, but I think
good.
it's.
No, I'm looking forward to finding out in about a week and
Same.
a half.
What do you think's better, now or then? Say it. 2016.
Yeah,
Marner's on
I'll take-
2024.
I'll take
2025.
16. I'll take 16.
Yeah.
I like big guys like Carter. Come on,
Carter, of all the names, that's the guy you go
Bennett, Carter.
to. Yeah.
Are
Anyways.
they similar? We'll find out. Week and a half, 2 weeks. Have a great night, everybody. We're back tomorrow. Off the Rails Friday.